night at about 100 degrees out right now in beautiful Palisade, Colorado. And why not? It is day 5 of our road trip, 2021, doing a loop around Colorado. It's 21 days on the road. This is day 5. It's Friday. And I can't think of a better way to spend a Friday on a hot day in the sprinklers. Let's start out that way. These are my guys right here. Charles Talbot, Brian Freeman, of course, Jay Parker behind the camera there. I'm Greg Hollenbach, and this is a cool one because it's Palisade Peach Shack, right?
Yeah, we're here. The Palisade Peach Shack's here.
Would you?
My name's James Sanders, and we're here with Bree Bell.
James Bree.
Yeah. Bree is really kind of starting to head our operation. We're just bringing in young, new ideas.
As well she should, because innovation, moving forward. I mean, you got the structure. We're going to learn about some really cool stuff from my friends, but this is exactly what it is. And Charles kind of gave me a little bit of backdrop, but what a community focal point that this is, because it comes together in a very centralized location, as you can see, and you're bringing the best of the region right in one spot. Talk about that.
Well, that's our intent, is to represent Palisade as a community. And Palisade has a lot to offer, from fruit and wine and just other products that are being manufactured here. And we just kind of want to encapsulate that in an ag tourist business. And tourism is new to our community. For the longest time, we were agriculture. We had alfalfa in our hair, and we itched from our peaches, and things are changing thanks to tourism and the wine industry and things that Charlie Talbot's doing. And we're a growing community. Thanks to tourism.
And I think the big thing that adds to that is agritourism is growing. Getting people to understand where their food comes from is totally different, and not questions that we would have thought we would have ever been asked. When people are showing up asking about, how is this grown? Where is this grown? What do you do? How do you do what you do? It's really, really interesting, and you're starting to see a lot more U-Picks pop up. You're starting to see a lot more direct-to-consumer, a lot more CSAs, a lot more people getting involved in the production of food.
You want to touch it, you want to feel it. You know it doesn't come from a warehouse, but you're like, well, where does it come from? Food tastes that much better to me when I know exactly who are the growers, who are the producers, where is this coming from? How does Colorado work together for a product? And we see it time and time again, whether it's a rancher in Walsenburg that uses spent grains from Breckenridge Distillery, and it makes it taste that much more delicious during the finishing process, or the spices that come from Denver from the spice guy that go to a brewery. And you got into this business exactly that. The farmers, the ranchers, they all come together and they have so many great products. But Colorado's an interesting place, right? It's seasonal.
Yes, it's a very short season here. We've got, and I've said it over and over, 141-day growing season in this state. And that is tough because these guys, farming is a full-time job. And how do you treat a full-time job with
Seasonally.
a part-time season and then keep your focus year-round and keep innovation and keep doing the things that what people are excited about?
It makes me because you look at it from peaks to valleys, flatlands to very highlands. It's a very interesting state to be able to grow or produce anything. But that's where the challenge comes in, and that's where we scoot right back to you, James.
I was speaking to the 128-day growing season. For the longest time, the peach season was 5 weeks. Yep. And that was extended from 2 weeks when it was just the Alberta and the JHL. So it's been a very vigorous industry to just come at it and pick all of this fruit in like a 4-week time period. It is extended out past that now. We have peaches here in our fruit stand that we harvest over the course of 3 months now. We start around the 1st of July, and our last peach is the fair time that we harvest in October.
And don't you love to hear that? You said 129. That's what it is here in this area?
What's that?
Your season here is 129
No,
days?
I think it's closer to 90 days.
Here, really?
Yeah.
Well, and that number I threw out, that's our Colorado average.
Yeah,
141 days.
And I'm just speaking into tree crops. So, as I speak through this, that's the only thing I can represent is stuff that grows on trees. I'm very novice to anything else. A tomato, we've tried growing other stuff. There's a skill set to all of this. We tried growing tomatoes and we have failed. No, I wanted to let Blaine do it, but Blaine's so busy with he's so good at what he does, and so his market is established and he just runs his own ship. And He's great.
A little bit inside baseball right there. Blaine he's well known as the tomato guy. But I have to tell you that as we pause and we tell you that our partners for the Modern Eater and our road trip are just great Colorado brands. And Jay shows you that these are the folks that are bringing you this great programming for 21 days straight as we hit the roads of Colorado. You talk about 5 weeks and peaches here in Palisade. But how does 5 weeks develop a whole region to say Palisade Peaches? That's an interesting thing. It's like Kleenex being your tissues. I don't know. There's a lot to be here in Palisade, but peaches stuck. Why?
Because they're that good. I think from a quality standpoint, there's no comparing what we do in Western Colorado. And there's we keep our peaches kind of in the Midwest. Can you speak into that a little bit, Charlie?
Yeah, I think the couple things that adds to why we grow peaches so well here is we're at 4,800 feet, so our UV index is through the roof. And then you guys got to see it last night, that 30-degree change in the night, where it's 100 degrees during the day, and all of a sudden it's 65 in the
James,
middle of the night.
James, it was 93 degrees at 9 o'clock last night. 2 a.m., it was 60.
It was 60.
That's flavor lock. You lock it
really
right
is.
in there.
That's what we've been told is just that's what's changing the starches into sugar. And it really, when you try to compare a Palisade August peach to anything else, it's breathtaking. One of our kind of niches is we're sampling everything, and so the cherries that we're growing right now, when people are walking out without cherries, I'm giving them, and we hook them 9 out of 10 times. The quality just really stands out.
And my uncle had a sales call one time where he took our Palisade peaches out of a box and put it into another state's box, and then switched them. And he went to the buyer and he said, "You tell me which one's better." And they were like, "Oh, this state's peaches are so much
superior."
Better. And he was like, "Really?
That's where they were from.
Funny. Yeah. Look at the label at the bottom. That's exactly where they're from." So in that blind test, you can't get caught up in where fruit comes from. What we're doing in Colorado is something totally different, and the growing region that we have is totally different. In Colorado, as we talked about earlier, is focused on superior products, whether it's beer, whether it's spirits, whether it's cider, whether it's wine. It's getting that information out, but our growing region and what we can produce here is absolutely astronomical. But again, like when we were talking to Kaibab Sauvage, Mother Nature comes in and tells you every couple of years and reminds you who's in charge.
Do you think she tells you, or do you think she slaps you?
Whatever she
You
wants.
feel so helpless.
Let's do this.
A helpless experience.
Mother Nature's in charge.
We're gonna
We just have
hey,
to
Jake,
realize
can we run
it.
a spot block? You want to run a spot block? All right, we'll run a spot block. We're going to go inside. We're going to talk about this more because if you look around the region, it's like we're so blessed here in Colorado, and I love that the region is like Rocky Ford melons, cool. Palisade peaches, cool. You
don't forget the sweet
Olathe corn.
Yeah.
The
Heralds would have a word with you.
You got that's cool, man. We'll walk in. We have, Pueblo chilies.
Pueblo chilies?
Yeah.
And I just think we just keep
Oh,
on
while
doing
you
that.
guys are here, you have to have some Okagawa green chili.
Yeah,
You show us-
everything that they grow in Okagawa, he's really got a niche on the vegetables, and he supports us tree growers with the vegetable things. And the chilies that he grows right here in Macon County, I think the quality's better.
Yeah.
There's more flavor.
Than down in
dynamics.
Pueblo.
I do, yeah.
What's this
But
location?
I have a bias.
James, what's this exit?
This is exit 42. This
42.
is exit 42
Off
in
of
Alberta.
I-70. And do you mind
And
showing
you
us
can't
around?
miss this little thing right here.
No,
right?
it's such an easy exit.
There's a landmark. I think you could see it from space.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
All right, do what
Well,
I'm
we
doing
think
right
it's the
here.
center of the
is because you
universe,
go
that's
in
for
and you
sure.
find out the Modern Eater stream, and you see that right now. I'd love for you to just push that share button just like I am, and push all the groups that you have, food groups, everybody else that needs to see this, because you need to see where your food is coming from. It's more important than ever. And you know what? It makes it taste that much more delicious. Show us your dig.
Yeah.
let's
When you
head
know
on in.
who's growing it, and these are the people right here.
So, of course.
Let's let this lady get through.
Yeah.
We've seen
So, again, you're talking everything seasonal right here, but
Yep.
you can't be seasonal and just shut down the stand.
Yeah, so we work with some out-of-state growers, but it's as soon as we start picking our own produce, that's just what takes over. But when you can work directly with growers, even in out-of-state situations, we can keep the freshness right on point, and the fruit, all the fruit we have in here is ready to eat, and that's
Prove
what
it.
people want.
That's what I say. Welcome
let's go
to
on in.
Palisade Peach Shack right here. And so a little bit earlier, you and I, James, were talking to a customer, but you pulled up an apricot and said, "Hey, listen, you want some good? Do the same thing. Tear one in half and show
let's
it to
do
the
it.
camera."
Well, let's start with the cherries.
Okay.
So the cherries that are in here right now come from Nolan Farms. He's up on East Orchard Mesa, and the cherries that he grows are huge, and they're just so beautiful. But come check this out. I don't know how the camera will represent the size of that, but these cherries are 3 bites. This is just a big, beautiful cherry.
So, and you know what this is called, right? A 2-bite.
A 2-bite cherry, yeah.
And then it's and people, a lot that people don't know is how they actually grade and size cherries.
Yeah.
Because this is a premium cherry. This is like a 10-row or larger cherry that the big retailers would love to see this. They're not going to get to see it. You get
Well,
it.
yeah, and part of the reason they don't get to see it, from what I understand, and I don't want to bag on the big retailers, is they don't want to pay for it. So they're very price competitive, and this big cherry has a value that the grower knows, and so we are willing to pay for it. And we have cherries ourselves in house, but let's just bite it. Let's take the 2-bite. And look at how deep red that is on the inside of there. And it crunches. And that's something new to our cherries, is they've got some snap to them, and they're crunchy. Go.
Well, and how you can tell these folks at home, how you can tell these cherries are fresh crop is you see how green these stems are. So these stems they don't have the browning in them. They're not aged. These cherries have been picked within the last few days.
No, they were picked today.
Beautiful.
So these
That's
cherries
what I
were
love to hear.
harvested today, and almost everything we have in here, a lot of this stuff doesn't even hit the cooler. So these are our out-of-state friends that you're showing here. This is an out-of-state peach, and we'll keep this in here till about the 4th of July when we start harvesting our own peaches. But when we work directly with the grower, we show up right at their front yard. They can pick a riper product, and he was saying, prove it. So let's prove this out-of-state peach can stand its own. We'll go grab a peach over here.
Well, and I'll tell you, I popped open some of these cases over here, and they were perfect for eating.
They're perfect.
I mean,
yeah.
That's the other thing that I'll throw in there. I will throw a plug in for Nolan Farms. Nolan Farms grows some of the best cherries the Grand Valley has to offer. And they're absolutely unbelievable to work with. Yeah. Great guys. 4 generations of family farming here. And super cool that you guys work with them. We work with them as well. We grow a small amount of cherries, but Nolan's processes everything, and then we have to buy cherries from them because we can't keep up with demand because of how good their cherries are.
Yeah.
And just remember,
it's a standout
local
product.
is everywhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, local can be on the East Coast, left coast, doesn't matter. But what we love is here, but we have to supplement some things with some other great partnerships and farms. And you do a great job doing
we
that.
specialize in certain crops.
Yeah.
Like at the Palisade Peach Shack, we have 100 acres of fruit, and 95 of it's peaches.
Wow.
So that's our primary crop, and
Good for
we've
you.
got 4 acres of cherries, and we've got 3 acres of nectarines, and all that stuff is actually to just supply this fruit stand. I'm not going to eat this because I know what's going to happen with it. I'm going to
Oh, he's going to explode. All right. Here's what we have to do, and I want to get this young lady into the conversation.
Oh, gosh.
Because just think about next generation and this farm stand. But what do you get from this place to where, are you in love with this type of thing, a community and farming and bringing it together in one centralized location?
For sure. I love this community. I went to school at Colorado Mesa University and moved from actually Georgia. Funny enough, these are better peaches.
Good plug.
Great for the source.
Yeah.
I love it. She still has Georgia license
I do.
plates.
I have a Georgia plate.
So it's kind of funny that we got Georgia plates.
So yeah, I came here for college, and James actually gave me my summer job while I was studying, and I just love his family, love the community, and after I graduated, he allowed me to work for him year-round and help him expand our business online, and just kind of grow Palisade in general, because
That must make you smile from ear to ear.
Oh
You're
man!
here saying,
There
allow
was
me to do
there
this.
was
to
the little fabrication because I didn't allow her. I begged her
Yeah.
to come to work for us
Yeah.
full time. And what she's done to our small business already, we have an internet presence that we never had. So this winter we were putting together gift baskets of our jams and stuff. That stuff never would have happened without this young lady. And we needed her a lot more than she needs us.
Well, James, I'd
tell you.
ask an interesting question to Bree is where do you see the future? Because you are this next generation. I mean, we have Charles here, and Charles and I were having a great conversation earlier about the different generations that we have just here in Palisade. Where do
Keep
you
bringing
feel?
it, yeah.
Well, you're the next generation. You're just fresh out of school.
Keep bringing
Where
the
do you
stories. Keep
feel?
learning. Bringing the produce.
yeah, I think
Bring it on.
our business has definitely moved on to like trying to educate people where their food comes from. Our agritourism, we're going to be running U-Picks. Since we've been advertising those online, they've like doubled in
Yeah.
reservations. Like we've had multiple people wanting to come from out of state just to go into the orchard and pick their actual fruit, know why that's the one they want to pick, because of the color, because of the size, because learn the varieties. So I think the education part of this community is really growing. I think that's where I want it to move into, like so that it's farm to table, farm to family.
Yeah, and it's a part of the business that didn't exist until she came on board. And so she's been working in that direction and is taking reservations online through the PalisadePeachShack.com or
Yep.
and
PalisadePeachShack.com.
the very first day she put that up, she had her first reservation in like 5 minutes, and she called me excited, and it was an exciting.
All right.
Well, I
Instagram.
think that's what the industry's moving to. I didn't mean to interrupt
you're
you,
good,
Brad,
go.
but I think that's what the industry's moving to, is people are going away from what is the easiest packaging we can get. What is the longest term lasting? What is, what can we put in a can and kind of let sit on the shelf, to how can we get this as fresh as possible? How can we bake on seasonality? How can we cook on seasonality? How can we make better food for ourselves? I think people care more about food, and they care more about where it comes from. And I think long term, looking at the sustainability of being able to farm in the United States. I mean, what the Modern Eater is doing, getting this message out there and getting this to consumers and people understanding, what we face as farmers and ranchers and so on and so forth. And you really getting this word out there helps all of us all the way around. As it goes back to that collaboration that you were talking about, Greg and Brian and Jay. It goes back to working as a collective team and getting this information out there. 50 years ago, 30% of the population could tie themselves to a family farm. Now it's less than 1% of the United States that can tie themselves to a family farm. For that to change so much, it shows like this, it's things like this, getting these things out into the public that starts to bring that message back so that people can understand what it takes to be a farmer, what it takes to be a rancher, and where your food comes from, because it's not an easy thing.
Pause. Rewind. Talk about the connection to 50 years ago, how you were tied to a farm, your family was tied to a farm, how that's changed throughout the years. You need to say that again.
It's 30% of the entire population in the United States. 50 years ago, it's not that long ago, could tie themselves to a family farm. For that to change so drastically within 50 years ties to convenience.
Yeah.
How quickly can we get our
Commercialization
food?
of
Yeah.
our food.
And so what I think is happening is that's coming back on itself.
It's the pendulum, and the
It's the
pendulum
pendulum's
always
coming
swings
back.
And I love that, but
People
we have
wanna
to be
know.
ready for it. And if you're not paying attention to what's happening on Capitol Hill and the things that are happening in agriculture and some of the bills that are trying to be snuck by and passed that make it virtually impossible for agriculture to do business here in Colorado, if we drive those folks out of this state, it's going to be impossible for some of these partnerships to exist, and that's not what we want. Please educate yourself when it has to do with agriculture. This is the cool stuff. Education has to do with a little bit of coolness and salaciousness and Instagram stories. You gotta eat that. You knew I was gonna say you eat that peach, and we gotta get that on Instagram. Yeah, juicy, squeeze that peach. Yeah, that's it right there.
Well, and Greg, something that's interesting that Charles touched on is the way that this industry is changing. And one of the things that you said that I think is very important for farmers to hear in particular is this exclusivity. That if you create something, people are eager to be one of 10.
Yeah.
And if I only have 10 boxes of these apricots, if I only have 10 boxes of these nectarines, I'm willing to be that person that will pay the extra to get one of those 10. And that's where I've thought it's been interesting, because as we move into this heritage or heirloom grains and heirloom apples are coming back, all of these new varieties that we have lost are coming back to mainstream. They're not going to get in normal channels. Kroger's not going to carry anything but the top 5 apples. That is what they have sort of pushed their industry to. But that's what I find exciting about you guys is you're promoting these little small batch, the Tom Cords, that.
And that's what it ties to is, I got a stern lesson in the Marine Corps, and my grandpa always pounded this into my head, is adapt and overcome. It's always going to come. It's always ever changing. It is never a fluid market. You never have the right idea, and the right idea will last for generations. It's that the market consistently changes. Up until the 1980s, we were 100% apples. Nearly 100%. We had 10% peaches. I mean, and now today, people know us for peaches and apple juice, but they don't know us for apples. So the market is consistently changing, and it's adapting to the market, but it's also keeping to those family traditions and those true grit farming traditions that make Colorado fruit supreme over the states that surround us. We do a really good job here, and especially the ranching community, there's not enough that's talked about in the ranch community. We have one of the biggest ranch communities in the entire United States. We're not the biggest, but we have one of the biggest. I mean, that's freaking awesome. And most people would never, ever think of Colorado as being a ranching area, a farm area.
I don't think we recognize the ranching industry here in Western Colorado because it's so spread out.
Yeah.
So the ranchers here in Western Colorado are up on the monument grazing cattle. And so when you get up there, there's cattle guards everywhere, and there's livestock signs. And so there isn't a real compressed cattle industry here. So I meet cattle farmers snowboarding. I met one this year, and he sold all of his meat to Whole Foods. And that was what he did. He had cattle up on the monument, and it was in a free range situation. And that's why we don't think of the cattle industry here, is because it's.
Well, you're so right. I mean, because we have cattle all over the state. And if you go back and look at some of the Modern Eater stuff from the beginning of this road trip, you'll see we were in northeastern Colorado in places like Greeley, where you have as we found out, one of the largest secondary processing facilities in the world for meat.
Wow.
But we don't talk about how important Colorado is to our meat system. So thank you,
Yeah.
because we're on our way, and why a big reason to stay tuned, because in the next few days, we're going to be down in Walsenburg, Colorado, visiting Centennial Cuts, and they pump out some incredible beef. And so
here's what you do, truly, and this is a treat, as we're live on a Friday. I think it's the 18th of June, but time's flying by. Day 5 of 21 days on the road, and this is how you really get connected and you stay tuned. Is you go in to your Instagram and you see Palisade Peach Shack. You follow these guys. You see what they're up to. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of great things that come out of here. But one thing that we want to do, and that's important, is that you get comfortable with it. And that's why we're here. We're going to show you around. And there's a lot of stuff going on in here, James and Bree. Will you take us on a little tour around the facility?
I would love it if Bree would kind of head this one up.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason why is because Bree had set this store up, and we just opened last Friday. And so the reason there's not a lot of things on the shelf is because that's the space for the produce that we're going to be harvesting tomorrow and the next day. So if you come back July 25th, all this is going to be filled with nectarines and Colorado peaches, and it will be a different store. It's going to have to
be indoors and outdoors. It
can't
just survive within the shop. There's going to be a plunder of fresh fruit in here.
That's one of the themes that we've been seeing as we do our spring road trip versus our fall road trip. It's like, let's get ready. Let's get cleaned up. Let's get ready. Let's get organized. And then fall, it's like, hey, listen, there's no more time for getting ready. Let's just do this.
Yeah.
But throughout the summertime, you've got a lot of work to do. Take us on a loop, if you would, Bree.
Yeah, of course. So over here is obviously where we have our fruit displays, local cherries, and some other partners we have from other states. But that's squash is right now in season. That's a different variety. James, do you know which variety, the squashes.
I think they call that an 8-ball squash, and that is grown locally, and that's Okagawa Farms there that we like to work with right here in Mesa County.
Little hand sync.
So actually over here we have all of our local honeys. So it's all Colorado honey. Honeyville is one of our biggest sellers here. They're actually located in Durango, Colorado. But
We're coming to you, Durango. We'll be in Durango on Tuesday, and so we'll take some pictures and send this out. It's called Honeyville, and I think we've heard of this name in Durango as
If
well. They
you
do a
have an
great job.
opportunity to swing by and see them, they're fun. They're
it?
a lot of fun.
Okay, cool.
Just-
Keep going.
They're
Greg.
actually right across, Greg, from James Ranch.
That's it.
That's why you always see that sign, because they're someone that we always point out.
So over here is Apis. They do a lot of their peach honeys, with some different flavored honeys, some jalapeno honeys. They're really good. They're actually located in Grand Junction. So all of these honeys are collected on either the Mesa, the Monument. Some of them are actually from our orchards. They're hives in the orchards that they collect their bees from, or their honey from.
Brian,
so
tell
that's
people,
pretty cool.
why is it important to eat honey from where you live?
Yeah, so allergies, if you have really bad allergies, honey can actually remedy some of your nasal issues in the spring. It has to do with the pollen. So the pollen in the air is what's giving you that like runny nose. So if you're eating that honey, it's almost like you're kind of giving yourself a little
Exposure therapy.
Yeah, exposure therapy. That's
And
the
it
words I'm
really
looking
works.
for.
The people that do this stand by this, how effective honey is with their seasonal allergies.
Yeah.
But you know what's so awesome? I got to tell you this, that Bree knew that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, there's a reason why
So
she's
often we travel around and you guys have the knowledge and are sharing this and educating people. So thank you. I mean, it's a big deal, James.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
she's sharp.
Direct us this way, Brian.
Thank you. No, it's Bree.
Okay,
Breeze
let's go. So James actually makes all of our kettle corn in store. We have a giant kettle corn machine that we run almost every morning. So
Keep the kettle corn going. What's your passion for kettle corn, James?
You know, the kettle corn is fun because there is a conglomerate of poppers, and about once a week when we're popping, someone will come and tell me about their different popping techniques. There are a lot of people that are into popping corn, and so our passion for it is just it's a product that sells. And
Do you pop it in oil?
yeah, we do pop it in oil.
Can we give you some sunflower oil just to try? We've got some local sunflower oil.
Absolutely.
I think you'd love.
Good
Absolutely.
call. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Colorado's.
Yeah, great.
Come on, Bree. What else we got?
So, actually, we have some pretzels over here from Rott's Pretzels. He's a local guy out of Grand Junction. He actually bakes the pretzels and mixes all the seasonings.
Garlic pretzels.
Oh yeah, they
Dill
can get
pretzels.
really
Inferno.
spicy.
These I have to. Are they really Inferno? Have you tried those?
I
Are they
have.
really
I
hot?
They-
dare you.
I
Yeah, you'll
love
have smoke
hot.
coming out of your ears with those ones.
I love hot. That's cool. Specialty
Yeah.
pretzels for sure.
Same pretzels at the tap room.
Do you really?
People's mouths get so hot they have to keep drinking cider.
I
It's
completely
fantastic.
understand.
There's
It's a
always an
perfect
angle.
Well,
method.
speaking of that, what a great segue is that there's something being built right over here that you may need a little bit of a libation with, right? With your
Yeah.
pretzels.
Go ahead, Charlie. You talk about
so-
this, what we're
so
doing
working
together.
with the Palisade Peach Shack. We're extending our license for the first time. We're in the approval process right now, and it's going to take some time. But in talking to James and working with James, James wants real fruit, real made wines, real everything else, where it is farm to bottle, farm to can, doesn't matter. And so with his passion based on what he would like to see and with what we're producing currently, we are extending our liquor license over to here. So this will be another area in which you can purchase Centennial Cellars wines, you can purchase Talbot cider, and a great collaboration, great partnership with someone that we've worked with for multiple years that's a fun person to be around. So we're super jazzed about it. We're just waiting on the feds to approve it.
Isn't that always the case, right? So everything's real, and we'd like to have this real quick, if you don't mind, feds. That's cool, and really that's what it should be. So an extended tasting room for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the wines. That's awesome. I don't know.
But
Look,
based in the collaboration mindset, you know.
yeah. Look at all these goodies, right? I
Yeah.
looked through it. It's almost everything.
These are baked daily.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
are right here in the kitchen. David Younger is our head chef, and right now we're just doing baked goods. We're just getting started in this, and so he's doing pies and he's doing cobblers, and they're put out every day.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Greg,
You
I
must have a
think
local
we-
following of locals, right? That come down here and
Oh,
buy from
absolutely,
you.
absolutely. Yeah, it's the bake. Actually, the first week we opened up, the baked goods outsold the fruit. And so it caused a little bit of tension between me and the baker because I'm like, there's no way you're coming into my fruit stand and outdoing us.
Oh my God.
But we have upped our game because
Yeah.
we have been picking more produce and now the produce is taking
I'll
over.
tell you what. I mean, listen, the secret's probably out right now, but you're going to probably want to get your holiday pre-orders in because I can imagine any holiday where these types of gatherings with baked goods like this are just going to go boop,
Yeah,
boop,
and
boop,
I'm
fly.
happy you mentioned that because what Bree has brought to the table for us with the internet presence is these holiday orders, and we are gonna be shipping peaches, and during the holiday season being Christmas and other holidays, but Christmas was a big start for us. We launched the website December 1st, I think.
Yeah, December 1st.
And it was exciting. It took off running, and we will be shipping baked goods.
This is a treat, and thank you to Charles Talbot because whenever we come in, we plumb our friends for information. We go, we want to meet new friends. We need new friends. We want. And he goes, I got the guy for you. And then it turned out the guy for us is now the gal, and now we know Bree too, and we know James, and we're going to be back for many, many years to come. So when we come back next year, that's going to be full blown.
It will be a
and
different
rocking
place.
and rolling, and we'll be sitting up. Are you going to have some bar stools there?
Oh,
You're-
absolutely. And in the morning, it'll be a seating area for coffee, and in the afternoon, it'll be a tasting room. for the
That's
Talbot.
so wonderful.
Yeah.
And look at these goods right here. So, Bree, you give us this wall in a nutshell. But again,
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the best of the best is they gather regional products into one place. And
Yeah, so
you can
these-
stop off right here. Go ahead, Bree.
Sure. So these are all of our canned goods. Most of it is our label here, the Palisade Peach Shack. But the pickles, the farmhouse pickles, are probably our favorite as a family at the Palisade Peach Shack. But we also have a few salad dressings. We work with Pear Blossom Farms in Palisade to get some vinaigrettes. He makes a killer peach hot sauce. That's my favorite on breakfast burritos.
I love the private label stuff right here. This is fantastic. Where you begin and where you end, I don't know. You guys ever going to do some private label spices or stuff?
You
like
know,
that?
as of right now, we have made the jams and jellies in house for multiple years. My wife made them personally, and now that we've built the commercial kitchen, it's our intent to kind of expand and take over the product line right here in house. We'll always work with the local vendors though, because just to represent them, and I'm never going to be able to
Outshadow.
do better
Yeah.
than Dad's hot sauces. They're 2 generations into a perfect recipe that can't be beaten. And I
love
do
it.
have a complaint about it, and that it eats way too fast. they need to
Okay.
put a little
Yeah.
control spout on. Have you noticed that, Charlie?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
we have them in our tap room as well because we're not gonna try to compete with it because it's absolutely fantastic and you can eat it way too fast. Yeah.
When I see James's hat that says "Stay Human," that's kind of a philosophy or a thought process or an ethos, if you will, of a culture that is being brought forth right here at Palisade Peach Shack, and that's exactly what I love to see. When we were with Jared in Fort Collins at Hazeldale Mushrooms, who is basically the best of the best, and synonymous when you think about mushrooms, you think about Hazeldale, right? You think about Palisade, you think about peaches, you go on down the line. I love that. Technology and innovation. What are the things? We saw that mushroom powder that Jared was doing, which was so cool. And it was like, okay, how do we keep a low waste, a sustainability, a method, a thought process to go into the future? What are some of those future innovations that
Well,
you're
you
seeing?
you
James?
just hit on something, and that's being able to process because there's a percentage of our crop that's not sellable in a fresh market
The
setting.
number twos.
The number twos, yeah, the number threes, and Charlie's
Industrial
getting
juice
in.
grades.
Yeah, but what makes them not sellable is they just break down too fast because they've been compromised, like a bird pecked at it, or we deal with split pits and peaches, and they just ripen so rapid it'll just kind of contaminate the rest of the box. And Charlie's doing some juicing this year.
Yeah.
And so the ability to be able to market that peach, we're doing that with the kitchen. We're going to do peach salsas, and we're just going to freeze peaches for people to buy in the pies. And if I can market that, that 5% of fruit, I'm really excited about.
Pardon me, my
No.
thoughts are fleeting a lot of times. Could you possibly do an illustration on the wall of like full circle farming? From the ground to the many things that you do with the products to back to the earth and the ground again?
It's interesting that you say that, because the blue in the wall was essentially it's the sky, and so we plan on bringing murals into the building, and the ceiling's 36 feet tall, and we plan on painting just a big religious looking blaring sun. And that sun's going to cast over on this back wall
And
of
cascade.
an orchard that's in blossom with the mountains in the background. And it's just, the blue was the perfect sky template for the art that's to come.
I love that. Show what you can do with the seed of an apple, just from beginning to end.
Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, that's what this is all about. How do you get the most from what we do with Mother Earth and back to business and industry and then back to Earth again to make that sustainable
Like,
circle?
the Talbots actually do they pulp a lot of the apples that they don't use.
Oh,
and turn-
absolutely.
And
I
they
was
turn
just gonna
it
bring that up.
into
Mulch.
a mulch.
Yeah, thank you, James. And that's so because what
Learned
we've
that.
seen with the ranchers, Greg,
Yeah.
the farmers are learning the same piece and it's not learning, they've always known it, but we just haven't had the resources, I think, for them to utilize.
Mm-hmm.
But this concept of like with an animal, you have to use every piece of that animal to make money. With peaches and cherries and apples, you have to figure out a way to not let any piece of that fruit at any level through the production go to waste.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to take that and create a compost. The Talbots have been doing it for years now, and I've purchased some of it at times because they will have so much of it, and it's great that we can take that full circle.
Can we do a Colorado on three? If
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
Mind?
Yeah,
Let's get
this
a
is the
Colorado
end.
on three.
All right.
Boom. One,
One.
two, three.
Colorado.
Colorado. What's up? That's how we do it here in Colorado. Your time with us today, guys.
Oh, thank
Bree,
you, guys.
Yeah,
so
thanks for
much.
coming.
James.
This
Wow,
was-
showing us around. Super sick and awesome. And then there's more there. You stop in here and again, you get greeted by some of the friendliest people ever. If you're like Brian, you need a little bit of sugar, you can get some ice cream right away on a Friday afternoon.
Okay.
Oh, we got a 1, 2, 3 Colorado, man. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 Colorado. Boom, boom. Yeah, you wanted to get in on that too, didn't you? We all do, because we love Colorado.
Do you guys have time for ice cream? Yeah.
Come on, are you kidding me?
I
It's
knew
a
you
hot
wouldn't say
day,
no.
100 degrees in Colorado. We've got a lot to do. This is our 4th stop in Palisade, and can't stop, won't stop. Why? Because we want to bring you the stories here in Colorado. I know we owe you an end of the night recap show. We've got so much cool content. I brought I buy a drone every year. Why every year? Because I crash it every year. That's why I do it. But I like to show you the overhead shots. We've learned so much. Honestly, I don't know whether we're going to bring you an end of the day recap show today, because as you can see right now, I'm all talked out. But we probably will. We'll be at Talbot's a little bit later on. I want someone to cook for. I wanted to cook out, but then I'm like,
all right.
what? Look at me. I'm a mess.
You mean you spend a day at
Doing it
100
all the
degrees?
time.
I need
You just gotta really tighten up,
A little- I can get it.
We
man.
need to
Gotta
get a
reach
little bit
it
of
down inside.
a little bit of Talbot strength back there at
Tough.
the Talbot strength.
Let's bring
Something
it
only
to
a
an
man
end.
would do.
Thank
Have you
guys.
ever done that? Have you ever kissed your biceps?
Could you do it now?
to say
Okay.
goodbye?
Yeah. What's up now?
And the look on your face.
Yes, rises. Yeah, that's how we end it. New friends. You'll see more of these guys coming up in the near future. Thanks for having us as your guest.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
Thank you, guys.
That's
This was fun.
what's up.
Thanks
All right,
for
we're
making
going to
this so
kick the
easy.
rock down the road, and we'll see you probably tonight on the Modern Eater Show.
See you guys.